I know a lot of the focus when they talk about the Texans' defensive line is the two edge rushers who may or may not play. I mean, I know they haven't practiced, but what about the other? What makes the rest of that? Because it seems like they get do a decent job of also getting interior pass rush, at least when you look at the numbers.
Yeah, they're a great rush unit, I think, across the board, and not only do Collins and Rankins, and they're excellent interior rushers. So they create a lot of pressure themselves. The edge rushers are excellent too, but their depth is all good too. So you have the issue there is you have whether no one knows who's playing, but we expect all of them to play. But if they don't, it doesn't alleviate any stress on our end because they're backup players who they play all year and they produce. They're good players across the board. Very good rushers.
I know we talked about Jaron and James last time you were in here, but have you seen them make strides since they've really settled into the starting roles?
Yeah, definitely. I think they've all, they've had a chance to reflect each week and make adjustments and improvements, and they're both good pros, and I think they're, definitely addressing things that they've maybe were doing incorrectly early on, and they still know that it's a perpetual process, but I think that we're happy with the way that they at least approach the process.
How different is it for James? Early in his career was kind of, you didn't know if he was going to play, when he was going to play. How different is it for him that he kind of gets to prepare every single week knowing he's going to be out there?
It's good. I mean, if you're a swing tackle, you're a backup tackle, and you're young, you don't realize how quickly, you could find yourself in the starting lineup or at least coming into play. And so the mental piece of that is definitely challenging for guys coming off the bench. But with time and his maturity, he understands that that's the case. And so he was doing a good job prior to taking on the starting role of prepping each week for every opponent, understanding the game plan, really understanding his assignments, also his technique on both sides, and as well as other roles he had at the muscle tight end position. But now he's able to lock in and focus on one spot, which is always helpful because you can kind of narrow your focus a little bit.
This next man up mentality that the guys have talked about all season really started with your group in week one and everything. How have you just seen them as a unit really embody that mentality and really kind of take it from a cliche in football to something that truly is like who they are as a group?
I think with Coach Callahan, he's always said there are no backups in the league. There's no backups because everybody's going to play. That was something that he said to the group from day one. And so even if you're a guy that's maybe on the practice squad or you're in a role that, you're not getting the reps, like you have to lock in mentally. So I think that's always been emphasized. They're talked to the same. They're treated the same in every way in terms of what they have to do from a skill set perspective. So I think that mindset going into the season has been beneficial because now it's like, hey, we weren't just talking. This is how it goes sometimes. So, and that's true across the league, obviously, with injuries. And but it's even more true now that the guys experience it. So, but the good thing is, I think we've, with that adversity, at least there's always been a level of preparation going on with the guys that weren't in the starting role.
Joel mentioned yesterday how he feels like he knows. I mean, he's still hurt, because of the bumps and bruises of the during the season. But he said he feels as good as he's felt in a while. How big was just that week last week of kind of resting and not having to go through the grind of a Sunday game? How beneficial, really beneficial is that for especially a guy like him?
I couldn't tell you exactly how he's feeling. I know he said he's feeling better, which is great. I think you get a chance. It's a long season, obviously, and for Joel, it's been a long career. So, you have obviously to be able to get up for each game, and but then you have a chance to take a breather. I think it's just your body goes, whoa, like this is good. I can get a little more recovery. So I think for him, it's been excellent.
Going back to the next man up thing, when you're in the middle of it, can you even tell that it's kind of amazing that you're down to whatever 4 and 5 tackles, your fourth and fifth tackle, yet you're still pass protecting well, you're still winning games, you're throwing for 300 plus yards, you make the playoffs. Like, can you appreciate that that's an unusual accomplishment?
No one here is feeling like we're doing a good enough job. So, and I think that the standard has not changed. So, regardless of who's in there, the standard is the standard, and the guys understand what we expect. So I think plugging a new guy in there, these are all the same techniques, these are the expectations, and here's where you were wrong. And so I don't know if anybody gets an opportunity to reflect and feel pretty good about anything, because you're actually just looking at the things that we need to improve on, and maybe that's a good way to do it. But I think in the end, it's the NFL, and so even the guys on the other side that they're backups, they're just the margin of difference in players is small. I think it's experience, exposure. So how fastly can you ramp those guys up to get them the experience that they need so they can operate in your system?
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
I know you guys have been talking all year about the best defense in the world mantra. I guess the fact that it's now the postseason, it really is 1-0 every week. Just how excited do you think these guys are to get a chance to show this on an even larger scale?
Sure, it's been a blessing just to see like the laser focus of our group. They've really they've kept the focus on the work, but they've really kept the focus this week on the preparation. We talk about being smart, tough, accountable, resilient, but most importantly, keeping the team first. And I think that we've seen that in every aspect of their walk of preparation.
With Greg, he struggled a little bit in that Denver game, and then feels like he's playing maybe his best football since then. So do you agree with that, and what have you seen him do maybe differently?
Sure, resilient player. He's a guy. He's definitely a focal point of our team in the building. When we talk about being the tip of the spear, a lot of that is being able to take accountability of it, but then also being resilient to keep the focus on the work and our preparation. So, you really see just a laser focus of being a team player with that young guy.
CJ obviously has had one of the best rookie seasons a quarterback has ever had, but you look at the numbers, you dive into the numbers, man-to-man has been the kind of the coverage that he's struggled with. What have you noticed when you've broken him down that has given him problems when teams have run kind of cover one against him?
Yeah, you know what? He's a very good player at this point in his career. Obviously, he's a young player, but I think that anytime that you can get sticky, anytime that you can reduce area for receivers, I think it makes it very hard just to make throws on air. And that's something that they've really done a really good job at just as an offense. And really just talking about the main thing as far as our preparation, we have to be us better than the other team can be them.
What about the challenge of going against Nico Collins, and it seems like CJ's really established a chemistry with him in recent weeks especially?
Sure. Contested play guy, a guy that can stretch the field vertically. I believe that they're third or fourth in the NFL with explosive play rate, and that's really, that really takes into account himself and Stroud, that connection there. So we will have a challenge, but I know that our guys are up for it. I know that with us being the tip of the spear, we don't have to just worry about, our role, because we do have a really big engine, and we have a nerve center that really keeps things focused for us.
I know you guys have gotten obviously some guys back, but how critical was last week for some of the younger corners to just get experience in a game and just kind of really get those game reps?
Sure. It's all about development, right? So whenever you can inspire, you can motivate your group to develop and go execute and build depth, especially in the second season, because everybody's role really amplifies. I think that really helps our team. It helps our offense, it helps our defense, and it helps our special teams moving forward.
Still kind of talked about the process of coming back from the shoulder, and he wasn't quite 100%. Do you feel like he's back to where he was the first half of the season?
You know what, I do. Again, that's another resilient player, a big focal point of our defense, and he puts the team first. So, all of the preparation after hours, all of the, the preparation moving up in the second season, looking forward to seeing it on tape.
Going back to Greg, you've been around him for a while, and coming out of last year, it seemed like he wasn't real sure about his role and what he wanted. So, how have things kind of changed for him over this past year?
The team, he's always been a team player, but with laser focus on the team, laser focus on the work. He's a very smart player that's always done those things, but it's really been amplified this season. You bring in other leaders, you bring in Coach Schwartz, who really, challenges us all as an organization and as teachers to inspire and motivate our guys to do it for the team. And he's done a really good job at that. You know, I think that in the first season, you know, we talk about we want to lead the league in our toughness, our effort, and our passion. And that's something that he's really, like, taken and he's really run with it.